what's up, guys? Welcome back to the Honest Tattooer Podcast. My name is Jon Mesa. I'm joined by my co-host, Matt Truiano.
Hey, how you doing?
Our friend G-Money.
What's up, guys?
And our very special guest. So I've known Gerald for quite a while.
Yeah.
But for those that don't know you, let them know your name, where you're from, how long you've been tattooing, and what kind of tattoos you do.
I'm Gerald Feliciano, from Brooklyn, New York. Born and raised, very rare to see that these days. I've been tattooing for 20 years now, 2004, 2005, yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Damn. Yeah.
What are you tattooing now?
I have a shop in Greenpoint,
Okay.
NYC Alley Cat. It's a appointment only shop. Got about 5 people now.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Sweet. How big is your shop?
It's small. It's fucking small. It's about, I would say, 750 square feet.
Okay.
Yeah. It's pretty chill. Very, very cozy. When people are trying to sell apartments in New York, they say, "Oh, it's fucking cozy."
It's cozy.
Cozy, aka it's
small.
fucking nuts to butts. Yeah.
I feel like 750 is not that small though.
I would say it's about the size of the upstairs.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah,
the
but ours
upstairs.
is square.
But it's a square.
When it's rectangular, it feels a little bigger. When it's a square,
I
got it. It feels smaller because I had the same space, 750 square feet, and it was rectangular, and it seemed way bigger. And
Okay.
I'm like,
The
I
layout.
have to fucking study the square feet.
I think it makes sense because, like, especially in a shop, like the way that you lay out, like where the people are going to come in, they're going to probably just wait here, and then they're going to be able to get to this area. If you have, if you have it laid out longer, then it feels bigger.
I mean, that makes sense. I'm just visioning the apartment that I had before I bought my house, and it was 700, I think a little less than 750 square feet. And I felt like it was a pretty decent sized apartment. But I guess it's different if you're in a tattoo shop.
Yeah, because everyone's along the wall.
Yeah.
And so because it's square, it feels a little smaller. And then people, like all the guests sit in the front, like in the center of the shop.
Yeah.
That's where like people are waiting.
Right.
So it feels like you're in like people are just like looking everywhere. Like there's no like, oh, I'm going to sit in the back.
I got a fix for that. Just get a nice big rotating ottoman where everybody sits and it just slowly just goes around.
Yeah, just have people barking before their appointment. Yeah.
Super slow-mo. Dude, so how... So one thing, you did this tattoo on me.
Shut up. Wow. Right away, we're starting like that.
That's how we're going to start out.
All right.
And John been talking shit about it all day.
I was thinking about it earlier.
This right
today.
here,
I was like,
guys.
wow, that's been there. I was like, to be honest, I was like, he's probably got that covered up so many.
No, dude. It's one of those that's like, I don't love it, but I don't hate it.
Yeah, I mean, when I think about it, like how long ago that was.
It's so long ago.
But also, I think, especially around that time,
What year was
I'm sure
that?
you remember,
Shit,
2009, 2000, no, before that, 2008.
Yeah, maybe 2008, dude. I feel like at that point, how long had you been tattooing at that point?
I started in 04, 05, summer of 04, 05 is when I really started. So
It's like 3 years?
Yeah. And I was working in the Bronx, in the hood.
Oh, yeah. I want to touch on that.
So, like,
'cause that was like interesting. That was such an interesting time.
all right, just like around that time, there was like, if you worked in the Bronx, you only did whatever flashes on the wall, letters, it was very, very like, this is what you do, that's it. And I loved American traditional artwork.
Yeah.
But like, that wasn't a thing. Like, anytime I tried to draw anything that was like, American tradition is like, oh, that's white boy shit. That's white boy shit. Yeah, why you always doing that white boy shit? So like, I never had I was like, man, I'm just trying to do this. Like, I'm trying to push this. But they were like, nah, brother. Black and gray, 3 liners, and 13 mags. 3 and 13s. That's it. That's all we used. And I was like, I kind of want to do American traditional stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, and like around that time, like I was apprenticing and I maybe only had like 1 or 2 tattoos at that point. So I wanted to get my first like real in front kind of like tattoo. I remember asking, I was like, oh dude, I want to do this in black and gray. And you're like, nah, that thing got the color, bro. And I was like, oh man, I really wanted it in black and gray. You're like,
I don't know what you're talking about.
and I was like, and eventually I got it in color because of that. I have a full color sleeve. Everything else,
Tattooers
like,
don't persuade their clients to do what they want to do.
What? Never.
But man, I remember around that time. Let's talk about Coyote.
Oh my! I haven't heard that name. in so long. Wow. Yeah, he was crazy. I remember when I first came to work over. All right, so I'll tell you. All right, I'll go way back. I started tattooing in Richmond, Virginia. I moved back home because I went to college in Richmond at VCU. I moved back to New York. Needed a shop to work out of, knew nothing. And I mean, there was no Instagram then. There was no like, you just had to like literally go around with a portfolio of your work and try to like find a spot that would have you. And I sucked real. I mean, all I did was street shop shit. So it was like nothing to cry home about, like, especially coming to New York. So my portfolio was not strong at all. Like if I looked at it now, which I still have it, and I don't look at it, but if I looked at it now, I'd be like, man, what? A lot has changed. I found an ad in Unimax. I found an ad on the wall, and it was like, tattoo artist needed, busy shop, Bronx, right? And I'm a Brooklyn kid, so I was like, I only go to the Bronx to go to the Yankees game, and that's it. And then I get the fuck out of there. But it was like Fordham Road, the Bronx. And this guy, Coyote, he was a recovering crack addict. Started from this. I admire the fact that he did start a business from scratch, from being a crack addict.
The hustle.
It's pretty good.
I respect the hustle.
Didn't have an apprenticeship, just like learn. And he can apply a tattoo well. He wasn't an artist by any means. Like he hired people like me and other dudes to draw shit. And then he could tattoo it or whatever. Like, but he was like, hey, yo, I don't know you like that. So you're going to start in the back of this jewelry shop in Fordham Road. And I was like, jewelry shop? What? In there's a tattoo shop? He said, yeah, there's a corner in the back. You do tattoos in there. If you're good enough, we'll take you into the shop. And I was like, what the fuck? All right. I wasn't in any position to say no at all. So I was like, all right, fuck it. I'm going to go. What's the worst? So I went there and it was exactly what you're imagining. It's like, people fighting from selling and buying jewelry. It's like a pawn shop. And then there's like in the back, there's a tattoo shop and you're just doing like number 87 on the wall. Exactly like that. And it was like, man, some days, I remember one day I went up there and I only had $2. And I was like, I just have enough to get the train fare.
The train fare to get.
And I got it. I have to tattoo something. Or my ass is walking from like fucking Fordham Road to, fucking Williamsburg, Brooklyn.
Fuck.
And I was like, man, talk about hustle mode. Yeah. But that guy, he was crazy.
He was crazy. And I think that's like the if you're a young person that, thinks that tattooing is hard, guess what? It's always been hard.
Always.
And it was harder. It's like it was harder to fucking, get your foot in the door to get.
There was more steps.
Yeah, there were more steps. So like if you really want it bad enough, you can do it because now your work is freaking amazing and you have your own shop and you've worked with super talented individuals and you've had an amazing career. So
it's been not an easy one. I see people now that are super talented that are young and I'm like, wow, that's fucking amazing. Like I think the advent of like social media, YouTube, people are like looking up how to do things correctly on YouTube, people creating content, artists creating content so people can visually see. And most artists are visual learners to begin with. There was like none of that. Like no. I remember like waiting in the train. If the train stopped, like the station had a magazine kiosk, I'm looking for Tattoo Culture, like all these like old like tattoo magazines that they had and like reading up like on who's like what they're doing, what the aesthetic is, like anything. I remember what was the book? Is it Reinventing the Tattoo?
Yeah, the guy.
Yeah.
Like that, like to me was like, it was just insane. Blew my mind. Like
there was so much technical information that was like kind of
it was shared. That book. I mean, that is definitely like a university style, like
It's like the textbook of how to tattoo.
yeah, exactly. Amazing. But yeah, like that's the only way you got like information about what's going on, or go to like tattoo conventions and shit. A Roseland Ballroom, motherfuckers was cutting holes out of their shirt to show the one tattoo they had on their forearm. In New York, it's like, damn, just fucking wear a tank top. Yeah, completely different time. Was hungrier, especially street shops in the hood. Like when people walked in and it was your turn and you didn't draw something like immediately, someone listened to what they wanted and is drawing it just as they're explaining it, and will come out before you're done and go, oh, something like this? Oh, I got you. Come
I
on.
got you, bro.
And it's like, what the fuck? Like it was dog eat dog. Like
Yeah. There was no like, hey, you're up next system, right? It was just kind
there
of,
was, but it was
no one,
real.
no one
loose.
abided by it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like,
Loosey goosey.
yeah. It was, yeah. The hustle was real.
That's sharky as fuck, dude.
Oh my God. Yeah.
I was talking to Matt earlier this week, and I went to go get my hair done somewhere, and like the guys that worked there was like one guy and like maybe 3 or 4 ladies that worked there, and they were having an argument about who's up next. And when a customer came in, you spoke to that client before the person who was up. They were like, but I was just saying hello. They're like, you shouldn't say hello to anybody.
Don't talk to anybody.
Don't talk to anybody.
That's how that was.
I was like, yo, this is
If
crazy.
you're not up, you don't exist.
Yeah, if you're not up, you don't talk to anybody. You don't even look at the customer in the eyes if you're not up. Dude, it was like, whoa, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Honest Tattooer is also brought to you by Tattoo Armor. Literally the best way to wrap your client at the end of the day. No mess, no adhesives, and they are super comfortable. You can try it for yourself by going to tattooarmorusa.com. They were able to hook us up with a 20% discount for our followers. Just use the code Honest Tattooer on your next order.
After I got the chance to sit down with Matt and Jon on the Honest Tattooer podcast, the Force of Focus got amazing feedback when it comes to the Hello to Healed process, networking strategies, and most of all, creating your own personal brand and culture. So I want to give you the opportunity to take 15% off by coming to join the Force of Focus arena. Now, this is a community of high-achieving tattoo artists who are all here for one reason: to be around like-minded individuals who all want to grow not only in our personal lives, but within our businesses. We're going to walk with you side by side to build out every system you could ever imagine to not only ensure the fact you're on the right path, but how to be able to see your dream life and then achieve it. Now, I have a laundry list of artists who have been able to achieve their dreams, and if you're ready to do the same, click the link below and let's get a conversation going.
No, that's real. I mean, you worked there for like what, a day? Or something?
I worked there for like a day. I was like,
Yeah.
this is not for me, bro.
Wait, in the jewelry store?
In Coyote,
Yeah,
yes. At Coyote, it's like, no, I can't do this. This is not for me.
So how long were you there?
I was there for like 2 years.
Wow.
And then I tattooed this girl. For some reason, she came back, which I didn't have repeat customers at that time. She came back. She wanted me to tattoo her neck and then something else. I tattooed like something on her chest. And then he thought for something, because she left a note. She left like a note for me. I wasn't there. She's like, and it was like a love note or something. And he read it and I just showed up to work, and I'm oblivious to this. I didn't like have a thing for this person, anything. But this man invented this whole fucking scenario in his head. You sleeping with clients, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yo, I just walked in. Like, what? No, I don't sleep with anybody.
Like,
and I'm not sleeping with anyone here. Definitely not. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. And he was so convinced of this that I'm like doing shit on the side. I'm like hooking up with clients, and this man like believed the shit that he invented, and I'm like, nah. And we had a riff then, and then I got tattooed by Elio Espana at Fly Right. Mm-hmm. I got a tattoo on my arm from him, and I came into work, and this was in the same month of that whole thing where he thought I'm sleeping with clients, and I came into work and is like still healing. And he's like, where'd you get that done at? And I was like, oh, I got this done at Fly Right by Elio Espana. I love the guy. He's tattooed my dad, right? Like just fucking bullshit, just, to shake him off of anything. Because this guy was super jealous. Like, don't get tattooed by anyone but here. you know, like that type of ownership.
that type of ownership.
And I was like, I couldn't understand that. I didn't come from that in the tattoo world. It's like, you get tattooed by people, whoever the fuck you want to get tattooed by. Like, it wasn't like, I'm only going to get tattooed by the best dude here, which, you know, that's not always the case. So I was like, nah. And then that was a huge thing. He had me go home for the day. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? Like, this guy like owns me for some reason.
Yeah, it's that old school kind of mentality of like, you know, if you're an artist, you can't go anywhere else. Don't go to any other shops. Don't talk to anybody else. It's crazy.
Yeah, that shit was, wow. I haven't thought about that in forever.
Sorry to bring those memories back.
Yeah, I'm like PTSD.
You're like, oh man, I do remember these times.
I'll take this next walk in, I promise.
But I think that telling those stories though, it's big because I feel like, you know, some of the guys that are probably listening to this show right now are maybe in a situation like that in a shop with an owner that's like, oh man, I really can't stand this guy. I can't stand this place. I can't stand that situation.
Can't stand you.
Like, you don't like it, but it got your foot in the door and it got you to tattoo more and it got you to be take a little step forward, you know, go up a little bit more in your skills and the time you're putting into this. And at the end of the day, it'll be whatever you decide to make of it.
Yeah, of course. I believe that wholeheartedly. Like, even though the situation was not ideal, I think of like anyone's journey, whatever you're on, whatever trajectory you're on, you go through the things that you need to go through to experience things and add more seasoning to your pan, like a cast iron skillet. You know, you don't wash it with soap. You know, you cook things on it and then it becomes seasoned. You know, like the experience you gain through this industry is like just seasoning to like your life of like how you deal with things in the future. Like, how am I as a shop owner? Like, you know, I look back on a lot of shit that I went through as like, thank God I went through that and understood and like went through the tough time of this. And like, I mean, dealing with all that shit makes me deal with all the stuff now with like, you know, less people booking appointments and all this stuff. Then people say tattoo apocalypse. It ebbs and flows. The pendulum is going to swing.
Yeah.
You be around long enough, you'll see it go back and you see it come right back. Mm-hmm. It's like, you know, I see all of that as like positive experiences. I think weak-minded people see it as like, oh, whoa, me. Oh.
Yeah.
Fucking make something of it.
Make something of it.
Yeah.
You know, I've been like reading this book and it, you know, has like that kind of teaching of, you know, like pain is unavoidable, but suffering is your choice if you choose to suffer.
Exactly.
Through and through pain, you know, because like pain is not something that you can avoid in life, but how you interpret that pain in your life, whether it drives you to do better, to push yourself to, you know, do something you thought that wasn't possible. It's really just up to you. I feel like in tattooing, you're going to have that multiple times in your career. And I mean, in life, you're going to have that multiple times, but it's all about kind of pushing through those moments.
Yeah.
How did you go from going there to then going to Invisible?
So after that whole thing, I worked at another shop in the Bronx, just because I started to have some returning clients, which was like new to me. I'll tell you about my first returning client. It was a crazy story, but anyway, I'll tell you about it in a little bit. I got a job at this tattoo shop called, it was a tattoo shop hair salon. I'm blanking on the name. Hello Beautiful. Yeah, Hello Beautiful.
That's good. That's a good one.
This,
I didn't want to start laughing first.
Yeah, it was owned by this. No, Glamour. It was called Glamour Garage. She owned the owner also owned a hair salon called Hello Beautiful. The shop that I worked at was Glamour Garage, which was a hair salon in the bottom of the shop, and then you go upstairs and it's a tattoo shop. And they had a good group. They were trying to shoot a pilot for a reality show there. Mm-hmm. Obviously, they didn't go anywhere. It was a fun ride, but like I learned a lot through that. Like it was in Williamsburg. It was on Havemeyer, between like it was like Havermeyer and Metropolitan area, by Marcy and that part of Brooklyn, which I was already used to. I lived down the block from it. So it was an easy transition, and it was very hipster at that time. It was like hipsters had taken over Williamsburg at that time. So people were spending money on tattoos, and I was hustling there. Like I wasn't in the Bronx, but in Williamsburg, and no one was doing that. So it was like getting anybody in. And I mean, obviously that place failed. She was not a good shop owner. Very successful people. Sometimes I find this, and maybe you guys could relate. People that are super successful business owners are not usually good artists, and people that are really good artists are not usually really good business owners. It's very rare you find people that are really good and can find balance in both. And she was not like one of those. Like she was savvy, knew how business worked, but she dipped her ink in too much, like dipped her pen in too much company ink. And it was like, she was more like a mom type figure. And it just was terrible situation. Moved on from there, worked at this place, 1228, and then worked at this place, Leathernecks Tattoo.
Yeah.
I worked there for 9 years and did part-time at Eastside Ink Tattoo. And Eastside Ink is where my career really started to propel, because Eastside Ink has been around forever. It's a New York staple tattoo shop, still here, still not too far from here. I know they have a new location. But yeah, Eastside Ink really opened me up to the world of tattooing and the world of like tattooing, like efficiently, but really, really well done. Like you couldn't be a spaz at that shop. You had to be, like, if someone came in and they wanted this fine line thing and you're charging X amount as your minimum, you had to do it right then and there. And then you had to hurry the fuck up and do another one just as good, just as perfect right away. Draw it right then and there. And that shit was like, that really propelled my career. That shop propelled my career. And then once I felt like I aged out of Eastside Ink, I felt like there was a shelf life at that shop. And there was a point where I was working on a guy's sleeve, and there was like other people that were waiting to get tattooed right after that. And I couldn't really focus too much on that.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know, I don't think this
pace of work.
Yeah. Like I need to buckle down on the people that are really interested in these larger scale pieces, that involve more thought into it. More time. And I mean, I love that shop. Till this day, I would speak, you know, great of that shop. It was amazing. And then I went back to Leathernecks for a long time. Loved that place. That's always been home base for me, Leathernecks, with Kenny Restrepo and all the boys out there. Kind of got my bearings, and my buddy, one of my best friends, Dan Bones, had mentioned, hey, Invisible, because he knows I'm obsessed with Japanese tattooing. Too intimidated to try it. I knew like there's so many rules, and I had so much respect for that art form that I was like, you know, I'm going to stay in my lane.
Yeah.
I do black and gray, Art Nouveau. I'll stick to that, but I'm obsessed with this. And my buddy had said, hey, they just posted that they're looking for an artist. And at that time I'd been tattooing for 13, 14 years. And I was like, I don't think I have like I don't think I'm qualified for that. But we went to the bar, and at the bar, he made me literally sit down and write an email to them.
That's hilarious.
And he did. And Damian Rodriguez wrote to me the next day and was like, hey, you want to come in and meet Troy, whatever, and, you know, we'll like go over stuff. And I was like, okay, I'll do like an interview. I was so nervous. I'd been following all these guys forever, and I was like, there's no way. I'm like, they're going to just be like, oh, this is cool fine line stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they were like,
and he was like, yeah, we like your work. And Troy was really cool. He was like, listen, I was like, yeah, I want to learn more Japanese. I know I do this, but so, well, you can apply a tattoo. Well, you're fucking crazy talented. Yeah, just come in. And that was it. I was like hooked on Japanese style tattooing. I was like, this is the epitome of tattooing. changed my whole perspective on tattooing. Completely pivoted my whole career.
I think same for me. When I started like liking and falling for Japanese tattooing and applying a tattoo in that way and why it works and why it's so strong and why it heals so well, it just changed the way I look at tattoos completely.
Yeah, I look at people as they're gonna be, how are you gonna look when you're old?
Yeah.
Like seeing old people with Japanese bodysuits, it looks just as dope as the
That's for
fucking
sure.
age.
Yeah.
It actually gets better with age. I think
does.
it looks amazing. And it's
all legible.
very
Completely.
three ways of reading it.
Yeah.
From afar, from middle, and right up close. There's always something to appreciate.
Totally.
Yeah. Loved it.
Fuck yeah, man. When did you get obsessed with snakes?
With what?
Snakes.
All right. I've sucked at drawing snakes. Sucked. I would avoid it like the plague. And I had a client who I loved to death approach me about wanting to get a snake. And I was like, I suck at this. And I referred them to another tattooer that does really good snakes. And it didn't sit right with me. And I remember I was talking to a homie of mine. I was like, yeah, I just suck at this. And they're like, all right, you gonna do something about it? Or what? I was like, I sat on that for a while. And then I bought one of those books on the like black drawing journals. And I was like, I'm gonna stick to drawing a snake every day. I have my coffee and I draw a snake.
Yeah.
And I try to keep it as a true diary where it's like, I'm not trying to be perfect. I'm trying to like put brain shit into paper and just see what happens.
Yeah.
And then I started like looking up other amazing tattooers that I appreciate their work. And I started like dissecting how they do it and why it looks the way it does. And I started really buckling down on how to construct the snake. I got some great advice from some people that I worked with needles at Invisible. I mean, at Eastside Ink.
Yeah.
Needles. Yeah. Needles was like, he looked at my snakes and he's like, I see where you're going with it. Your snake has no neck. And I was just drawing tube snakes. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, yeah, like there's the snake head, then it tapers tight, and then the body starts.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah. And also like, snakes bend a certain way. They don't bend back on themselves. So like this wouldn't look so accurate. And I was like getting real good, like critique of my
feedback.
work. And I was like, oh my God, this is like opening up my mind. So I started to get the body right, the head right. I started flirting with like realistic heads with kind of traditional style. And then things started to click. And then by the time I had started working at Invisible, I started to see like the pattern of the scale work, how every scale lined up with the belly. And there's a whole fucking like grid to draw to accomplish that. And there's no cheating that. Like you could pull up your thing on and create as many brushes as you like on iPad. Nothing, you have to do it.
You're gonna have to do it anyway.
You're gonna have to do it. You can't cheat it. And the best looking ones are the ones that are done out of like knowing the science to how to draw that correctly.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just became obsessed with doing it different styles, from super flat Japanese to kind of realistic. I turned something that it was a complete Achilles heel that I was embarrassed to try to draw. I mean, I turned it away if someone wanted it.
Yeah.
I was so embarrassed, but I'm embarrassed to even say that now. But like, it was something that was necessary for me to go through to be like, yeah, well, now I can fucking draw a snake I could show people how to draw it right.
Yeah, you can push yourself to like, you know what, I really want to learn to nail this. I'm going to push myself to.
I think the lesson there is that when people say that they suck at something, or it's like, oh, I'm not good at this. It's not that you suck at it. It's more that you literally don't know. You don't have the knowledge base of the structure and the foundation of how these things work.
Right. I was going to say that.
And you have to study it, and that's how you get better.
Correct.
And if you don't study it, then you're going to suck forever until you learn it the right way.
Yeah. I was going to say that about the structure. It's just like once you kind of understand the structure and you envision it in your mind, how it would like, morph or bend or what have not. But knowing the structure is important, and you'll only get to know the structure by like repetition and by actually cracking at it. Then you'll start like understanding why, like you said, it's shaped the way that it's shaped, and things that you only understand through actually starting to draw it. Many times. It's really cool.
I remember I got inspiration from my I was taking a shower, and I had one of those like the shower that has like the snake hose. And it's like it's metal rings.
Yeah, it's coiled.
Yeah.
And I remember like looking at it, and I'm like in the shower, butt ass naked.
Look at
I was like,
You're like, cool.
and it's like, oh my god, the rings. And I was like eureka moment, light bulb was like,
this excellent reference right in my shower. Right here.
yeah, I was like, oh my god, this is fucking amazing. This is how you draw. This is just fucking rings. Yeah.
Yep.
That's how I got into drawing snakes.
I think it's interesting, like, his, like, when Nico was here, like, last week, he was telling us, like, oh, man, like, this little carabiners that you use as your keychain, those were my reference for, like, the chains that I'm drawing.
Yeah.
So I can use that in real life and test the lights on how that creates light source. But it's like, reference is all around you. You don't need a real snake. You just get a shower head.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
A lot of people think that artists' like most important part of their body is their hands, but it's not, man. It's your eyes.
Yes.
You got to learn to look and learn
Look
to
at
see.
things.
There's so many things around you that could really be reference for you. If you just know how to look the right way.
I had a client ask me, where do you, what artist inspires you the most? And it's like, I get inspired by tons of artists, but I'll get inspired from the most random fucking thing. I was walking to work, and someone had one of those, their fence ornament was like really, really nouveau looking, right? And it was round. And I was in the middle of painting this like version of the Birth of Venus. And I needed a reference that was round. And I took photos of it. And then on my iPad, I created a grid of that round thing that now I use for so many different things.
That's awesome.
And it was just like stone as fuck, walking to work. And I see like someone that's like, it's like, I'm taking pictures of that. I'm sure, I mean, if they saw me, they'd think I'm fucking crazy. But the most random things. It's just being open to accepting things that are out there,
yeah, absolutely. Man, you know, many times I go to a park and then there'll be like a really cool flower there, and I'm like, oh my god, dude, I got to take like 20 reference photos of that flower. And guess what? Sometimes you may never go back and like actually use those photos, but I think like taking the time to just really look at something, analyze it, and stay there, it's like adding a little more to your brain bank of like mental reference. Yeah, it's like downloading it, and it's like.
But at least looking at flowers and taking pictures of flowers, like people around you, if they see you doing that seems pretty normal. Think about like all the bio guys who are like looking at like rocks and crevices. Like, what's going on?
Oh man, like, but I guess it's the obsessive amount of photos of flowers, and I'm like, dude, this guy really likes flowers, dude. He's just still going.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
plug me in,
going up.
Plug me in, tank.
I want to know roses.
I know flower food.
No flower.
I want to know roses.
Oh man, so we were talking about this thing earlier about how what do you think about if once you get like a Neuralink implant in your brain, right? It'll be like that. Like this, Elon said that you'll be able to get like a Neuralink for $1,000, right? But then you're probably gonna have to buy like, you want to
upgrades.
You want to have, you gotta buy upgrades. Kind of like you get your phone, but if you want all the cool shit, you gotta buy apps.
Yeah.
Of course.
And
It's not a one and done. That's not a one and done.
I'm only on roses 3.5, man. I'm not.
Yeah, dude.
Man.
Be like, this next firmware is gonna reduce death and seizures from V1.
From the V1 version.
Oh my goodness.
Dude, all sorts of shit. I think that'll be pretty cool.
Man.
Pretty cool.
I like what you said before is like, you want to learn Kung Fu? $5.99.
Oh man.
You're really good, dude.
Black Mirror is here.
Oh my God. Yeah, for real. I mean, everything I talk about, if I have a normal, like a random conversation in the shop, you know, the moment I go into my car and open up my phone, I'm like getting ads. I say, shit, now I need to get another bidet. Fuck. I said it once.
Yeah.
One time, you need
It knows me.
What the fuck?
You guys want to do this critique?
Yes, because I wanted to lead in that, and then my brain went somewhere else. But when we were talking about, like, you know, getting good critiques and getting good advice, how much it helps you, I was saying, how good is it to help someone else once you can get to that point in your career where you can, like, look at another tattoo and help somebody. So
Yeah. So let's do that for somebody right now.
let's do that for somebody right now.
My name is Jamie Snedeker, and I'm the owner of Southernmost Tattoo. Some of the issues that I ran into before using Tattoo Pro were not having all of my systems in one place. I knew I needed something different than what I was using, so I started searching for tattoo-specific software and ran into Tattoo Pro. Set up a consult, and within the day, they contacted me, and within a week, I was set up. Scheduling, release forms, payroll, artist schedule, client information, and now it's all in one place.
Since we started using Tattoo Pro, our workflow has improved dramatically. No more scheduling mishaps, and our clients love the easy online booking. It's literally helped us grow the business.
With Tattoo Pro, we've doubled our revenue in the last year, and we've increased our staff by 4 artists. If you're considering using Tattoo Pro, it's a no-brainer. It'll give you more time to do the things that you love, such as tattooing and running your business. Call and set up a demo today. You won't regret it.
So shout out to Chrissy Kratzis. I believe that's how you say your name. She's a new Patreon supporter. And with that, she submitted a tattoo that she, I think, recently did of a tiger. And she wants us to talk about it and help her give us, help us, what am I trying to say? Help give her some tips.
Some tips.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. My first initial feeling is that it feels unfinished. But what I see, I like.
Like the fact that you can't see the rest of the ears or rest of the head, or that's the part that bothers me the most. I want to see at least the ears of.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's technically applied well. I think the problems are more, it's too much of the same gradient.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's missing tones.
You need to have, like, there needs to be super light, medium light, and then fuck you blacks and skin break. It should be like the rule of thirds.
Yeah.
A third of skin, third of gradient, third of black. Like, but for the most part, I'm sure this client is fucking stoked about it. But yeah, I mean, when this heals up, it's going to be very flat because it's all the same gradient of grayscale. And
even some of the, you know, the areas like that should be, like you said, like fuck you blacks, like just black, they're not solid.
They're not solid.
Black.
Even though it has like a scratchy look to it, I kind of like it.
Yeah, I don't hate it.
I mean, it'll give it fur texture.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can't really
But even
go
like,
wrong.
I'm looking at the nose right now, like it has like a cool etching effect to it that I'm really digging.
Yeah.
If you added those, like he said, like the rule of thirds, if you go and add some really strong punchy blacks to this tattoo, and then use a really, really light gray to knock out the skin in certain areas, then you're really kind of creating that kind of 3 balanced kind of tones. And I think it would read even better.
I would imagine that she's looking at a photo, and I would imagine that the photo is probably taken with the light source kind of shining straight on the face, so that's why it doesn't have that much depth to it.
Right.
How do you guys feel about, if you're doing realism, making up your own light source, or at least adding things that aren't there as far as shadows?
That's cool, but that only works out when you actually have an understanding of it.
Right. Yeah, you need to have some experience with that.
Yeah, the light source has to be consistent.
Yeah.
Through the whole fucking thing.
A lot of it is also like muscle memory. So you can like maybe add some shine somewhere, or like there's a little bit of light that's sneaking into, you know, that layer of the face or something, you know, but
If I were Chrissy in this situation, what I would have done is taken the photo of this tattoo that she's copying and then find another one in a similar position with maybe different lighting and try to apply the lighting that has like deeper shadows on it to this tattoo.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I've done that just find a better photo. You know, if you like the pose for something else and then find the light source from somewhere else, you can put the two together and it works great.
There's a mixture of like these small little like etchy lines and swoops. If you guys like zoom in,
Yeah, it creates a lot of little texture.
right,
stuff
and
like
then
that.
with some like overhand shading on top of it,
Yeah.
which
It kind of reminds me of like a pen and ink drawing,
right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
right?
Yeah, like a loose pen and then a little watercolor over top to
Yeah.
the image.
Yep. I think a very common thing that we've talked about
Yeah, we don't need it.
is that whenever we do a critique, a lot of times we say it's a good first pass, and then you do a second session over this and tighten it up.
Yeah, 100%.
Like it's not like
This is definitely something like if this was on my plate, I'd go back again.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Go, all right, once this settles down, you could see where certain things are going to be super light. I mean, the mouth is pretty dark, but you could make that, you could pack that in a little solid or bring the teeth out. And then like things where the eyes are, where you want to bring out the lightest part of the eye.
Yeah.
A little darker. You know, usually tigers have that white spots above their eyes that brings the contrast up. And you know what? I love, I mean, I'm no stranger to doing portrait work, animal portraits. Line work is still important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like in situations like this, you can do clean, fine line work in that, and it'll look tighter. It won't look as messy. But yeah, most of all, I just look at how that's going to look 10 years from now. And it may get a little muddy. Is all kind of like the same tone.
I've been doing a lot of, I'm going to call them painting and piss people off, but I've been doing a lot of painting, digital painting. And a lot of it's portraits, female portraits. And
Ladies.
I try not to put a lot of lines in it to keep it somewhat realistic, but I do put some lines in it. But I think the thing that makes a good painting better than an average painting are edges. And with your shadows, you're going to have soft edges and hard edges. So if it's a place that you don't really want a line, put a hard edge there and it'll kind of almost do the same effect.
Yeah, but painting is different than tattoo. I try to look like you've seen my paintings. I don't treat my paintings like a tattoo. I had to get over that. It's like, this is not a tattoo.
It's a different thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Tattoo is different. Tattoos, like, no matter what level you're at, you still have to follow. This is the great thing about tattooing. You have to follow some fucking rules.
Yeah, for sure.
And if you're not going to follow the rules, your shit's going to look inconsistent. And if your shit looks inconsistent, then no one's going to really trust you to do anything. You're not even going to trust yourself to do. Like, you have to like follow some rules that, you know, if you look across the spectrum of all like really nice styles, they all have a couple things in common. You know, decent line work, good contrast, good composition. You follow these like little rules, the rule of thirds. No matter what you do and what style you do, it will look good. It will look good forever. That's just basically it, is mastering those techniques, you know?
Look, I kind of messed around with this thing a little bit on the pocket.
Look at that. Yeah, so that looks a million times better already.
Just give it just a tiny
Put that right up in the
little bit. Let's see if I can get it. Boom. Look at that. Just
would you just add some shadows, right?
Yeah, I just added a little bit of shadows, a little bit more black, and then all of a sudden it's just a little bit more dimensions, feels a little bit less flat. And that's just putting some light grays into it, and it just worked.
Yeah.
And big mag. Big mag.
Big Mac.
I have the Pocket app and I never use it.
What's
That's like
that?
my second
Pocket.
time ever using it.
Oh, it's like
Procreate Pocket.
Oh.
So it's for your phone. It's real tiny. It's really not good for like doing like actual drawing. But if you're just trying to like doodle something real quick, or you have an idea, you want to just get it down.
Yeah.
It works.
I would just draw dicks. The end. I'd be a perfect waste of that.
That's all I would draw.
Man, I just gave me an idea. It's like if you have like a bunch of friends and you all have the Procreate app, you just draw a giant dick that goes through all the phones.
I saw there was like an old like Japanese like 70s film with these like assassin geishas. And when they were undressed and lined up, it was just one long dragon. And it was like when all of them together, it was like all of them make one dragon. And it's like, that's fucking sick.
Yeah.
But it would suck to be the one in the middle. And it's like, what's your name? Just fucking scales.
Just a belly.
Yeah. Or like, oh, I have the head. You're the fucking coolest one. And it's like, what do you have? A fucking tail, the ass end.
A dragon ass.
Yeah, dragon ass.
That's pretty good.
All right, well, Chrissy, I hope we taught you something, and maybe you can go back into your piece and send us a picture of the updated version.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you got?
For what?
I don't know. Life.
What do I got?
Life.
What's
bro.
going on, man?
What's going on?
What's going on with me? Well, like I said, I've been painting a lot. When Joe was here, I said I want to do one painting a month, and in my mind, what I was thinking was I was going to like do a finished piece as a product to sell on my website.
Yeah.
But instead, I've just been doing more like quick studies and I've been painting every night, digital painting.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I feel like it's helping a lot.
And I remember you got some watercolors. Have you
did.
touched them since?
I did. And I mean, I knew I was going to get humbled real hard, which I did. But I did try them. I think the problem is that that was actually the first time I've ever watercolored. I always used acrylic or oil. And I didn't want to get like a whole giant set of watercolor in case I was like, this sucks, I'm not into it. So I bought a palette of like, I think it was 6 colors, maybe 8. And it wasn't enough. At least for someone like me who's so new to it and I haven't learned like how to actually mix these colors.
Yeah.
I wish that I bought the bigger palette that had more in between colors to help me out. But it's hard, man.
Painting is hard.
Painting is hard.
I love that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Painting is hard.
It's tough.
It's what this guy does. Digital painting is one of my favorite. Senju, he does a lot of shibari style stuff. I didn't know it was digital paintings, and I bought his book, and I was like, these are amazing. And then I was like, I wonder if I can get like, one of his originals or something like that. And I was like looking online, and it was all like digital printouts, and I was like, oh, these are all. They're all digital. Not a single one of them is painted. I was like, that makes complete sense because it looks so perfect. I was like, it's so perfect. And it's like, that's when I like started to realize like digital art is its own thing, completely separate from like painting, like, paper, watercolor. And it's its own artwork and its own respect. It's definitely more forgiving, like I feel like a watercolor is definitely closer to tattooing. It's like, all right, it's there.
You touched it.
You gotta make this happen.
Yeah.
Something fucks up. Is like, oh, I'm gonna turn this into a happy mistake.
I think you saying forgiving is one thing that I wish that we talked about with Joe, is that because a lot of people say it's easier, but I don't know if easier and forgiving are the same things. I don't think that they are.
No, they're not. I feel like it's more forgiving. Like, you do something you don't like, you can backtrack.
You can backtrack. Yeah.
You do something you don't like on paper, you nut up, fix it, or start over.
Or live with it and be like, that's what it is now.
Yeah, wabi-sabi. Yeah, I love that. I do love that about artwork, dude. Like seeing the human aspect of it. I do appreciate that.
Because things end up, when something looks like, okay, now that looks too clean, or it looks too perfect, or too rendered.
Yeah, like I didn't like I use the iPad every day for all of my artwork, but I always draw the final copy on paper. There's something I feel like is missing that doesn't have, like when I print out a digital drawing that I did that I'm going to convert into my stencil, I feel like it looks sterile. It doesn't look,
it feels stiff.
It doesn't have life. There's no life in it. It feels too perfect. The lines and the curves are too perfect. You know, like I kind of like the hand drawn look of things. I never really liked that. Like whenever I tried to do a digital painting on Procreate, I never liked it. I always thought I felt like this is the too cleaned version of what I want to portray. And I understood then right there, I was like, I'm not made for this realm of art. I'll stick I'll stay in my lane with this, but could appreciate people that do digital artwork. It's a whole different like technique and whole new different version of creating things, you know, like I wouldn't never hate on someone that does like artwork digitally.
So when you walked in today, I was doing a painting. Did you get a chance to look at it?
Yeah, I did. It's beautiful.
Did you think that it was too perfect? Because I purposely try not to do that.
It's yours.
Yeah.
Like for my taste, absolutely. It's like if the shoe was on the other foot and I was doing what you were doing, it would be a color reference or color study for something that I'm going to paint. There is something there that's too polished about it. Too almost. I love Varga. Varga's girls are beautiful.
Yeah.
I love.
They're perfect though.
They're his airbrush girls were too perfect for me. I liked his color pencil girls.
Yeah.
I love the color pencil ones over the airbrush.
It's because of the texture.
Yeah, there's something about it. It's like that's
Too
a hand.
even, right?
Not to say that a hand didn't create the digital drawing of it,
Yeah.
but it's so soft and perfect.
There's a mark.
Yeah.
There's like the artist's mark feels
Yes.
a little bit more alive in that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I try to make sure that it looks more painterly and less. I mean, it's always going to look digital, I guess, in some way, but I try to avoid making it look like it's a digital piece at all costs.
Yeah.
That's that.
But I feel like kind of like neo-traditional nouveau, you can get away with doing that. That looks beautiful on paper, you know, and then you can translate that to skin pretty easy. I think in other things like, you know, if someone's doing a Japanese piece on like a cold like digital rendering of it, it's a little different because some things with like Japanese tattooing, you like the lumpiness. I love lumpy dragons.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want a smooth dragon. I don't like smooth snakes. You know, it's got.
And that's why people have such a hatred for digital flash. Like especially with like traditional designs, when it has like that perfectness to it, I think that's what it turns people off.
Yeah, because there's no life in it.
Yeah.
It looks dead. It looks too clean, too perfect. Yeah.
Like when you see a, sorry to interrupt, like when you see a, like something that was made in Illustrator as a logo and it has that like super vectory, like shaped, something feels uncomfortable about it.
Yeah.
That's a good way to describe it.
It's missing the human aspect of it. It's cold. It doesn't like speak to you. You need things to draw someone. You need to feel like, oh, this is attainable. This is a drawing that I could possibly learn how to do. If it looks too perfect, it's like I don't have a steady hand like that. You know, it's different. But also like artwork and tattooing, I feel like those things can be separate.
I agree.
Yeah.
They should be separate.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's even tattoos though that I like when they're like a little like they're not so like perfect, but they're just energetic. You're like, oh man, you can see that guy was tattooing the fuck out of that. You can see the and it just looks so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, consistency, everything. If an artist has a style of work and they're consistent with it and it's a little wonky looking, that's their aesthetic. That shit's fucking cool. If it's like, oh, this one piece looks fucking perfect and the next one looks wonky, it's like, oh, all right, nah, this man
he's just wonky.
That's a hangover. I just drew this up in the back right now.
Yeah, don't use that as a crutch if you're listening to this.
Yeah.
Or it's like one of those days where the guy's whole portfolio is super crispy and clean. Every design is perfect, and then the one is not. And you're like, oh, he forgot his iPad that day. You drew that on paper.
On paper.
Oh my God. I did one. There was this convention in Philly. I didn't bring a single circle template. There was no iPads at this time. And it was a Sunday. I was fucking hungover, but I wanted to crank them out that day. So, I mean, any good tattoo is going to work through a hangover. That's not an excuse.
Yeah.
This kid came up and he's like, I want
rosary beads.
I want a Captain America shield.
No.
I had no circle templates. I had to do a bunch of concentric circles and then a perfect star in the center.
Oh shit.
No
And
way.
I swear to God, I was sweating so much that I could smell the alcohol in my sweat. And what I did, I went back to like real old school days, and I folded the paper till it was like a little pie cut. Like I did like a circle, like one circle that I traced from like a tape, like a masking tape thing. And then I folded that in half, the tracing paper, folded that in half until I only had a little like triangular like fold.
Man.
Like
And
a
I did
pizza slice?
one line and then folded one line until I got all the circles. And then the star I did the same way, and I got it.
You MacGyvered it.
I MacGyvered the living, and no one wanted to give me a circle template. I was like asking people around, like
Hey, you got a
neighbors. It's like,
circle template?
hey, you got a circle template I could borrow? And
hell no.
I
Right,
haven't
like-
got one. No.
Go to a tattoo convention now and ask for a fucking pencil sharpener. They're like, what do you mean?
Yeah, and yeah, that was.
What are red colored pencils?
We're like, I was like, yeah, we're gonna do some dings in the shield. Been through battle and
You've been
shit.
fighting, bro.
Yo, I was putting the hustle on hard. It's like, yeah, he got like, yeah, this where he fought somebody, and that's why that circle's not like that.
Crack shield.
Yeah, it's a crack shield. Yeah, I'm not trying to do a
Badass.
full circle.
Fuck that. That. How have you liked having a shop?
I never thought I would have one.
Yeah.
I think when Invisible closed down, at that point, I was like, I don't want to start over at another shop. I'm like too old to be the new guy at a shop. I didn't know where I would want to go. I know the door was always open at Leathernecks, but it was in deep Park Slope, and the commute started to get to me. And because remember COVID, if one person in the shop got sick, the whole fucking shop got sick. So I was like, I want to do something like private. Mm-hmm. So I did the private studio route with my homegirl Lara, and that's when we opened up the shop, and it was just us. Mm-hmm. And we were like, let's start off small, and then we'll like go from there. We'll see how businesses run, and then we'll see if we take more people in. And we started to do that, and it was really good. And I think Lara like wanted to part ways with like business stuff, and I was like, I'm not gonna quit on it at all. So I was like, I moved to Greenpoint, hired a couple of people, and it's pretty fucking sick. And it's, I guess the hardest part is keeping everyone, like wanting to keep people happy, and together, which I was never used to. I was always just like, I'll show up when I show up.
You show up, you do your thing, you go?
Yeah. And you go, keep the shop clean, blah, blah, blah. But that doesn't go very far, you know? And luckily, like the people that work at the shop are fucking amazing, super respectful. Everyone's older. There's no like super young people. So everyone's like very polite, been tattooing for a while. Everyone's like very like about their clients, which is, I don't care about anything so long as the place is clean and your clients are happy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
happy clients,
sure.
I'm happy. I'm not like fucking making millions of dollars every fucking month, but I'm happy and my shop is happy and the shop is clean. It's nice and people are stoked with the pieces that they get. So I'm surprised is to answer your question, surprised as a, like where I'm at now, I would never have thought of being a shop owner. I thought that was just not the route I was going to go.
Not cool.
But now I'm stoked, completely stoked.
Nice.
That's great.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
I feel like, you know, from this conversation, we've gotten to like kind of hear of like a little bit of your beginnings and kind of like the process of like, you know, a tattooer going from when you're trying to figure it out in the very beginning, where you feel like I have no idea what the fuck I'm doing, where I'm at, and to the where you're like now really dialed into your craft, you know, from both sides. From like not being a coyote,
Oh God, yeah. Oh my God, I will never be that type.
you know, and then
shopper.
creating an environment where like other people feel good and other people want to like, you know, grow and become good artists.
Yeah, of course. I think that's like every good shop that I've been at, owners have always been positive about the people that work there, and they pretty much uplift each other. I feel like also maybe you guys could agree. New York tattooers are different than most cities. There's a lot of rivalries everywhere. I feel like New York tattooers kind of like have a mutual respect for one another. It's pretty much nuts to butts. There's a shop every fucking corner. You can't really be, fuck them, blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah. At some point, you're going to fucking work with one of those people that worked there, that worked at that one shop
Yeah.
that you worked at.
People float around a lot.
You can't burn a bridge in New York. That's the first thing I learned.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you get kicked out of one shop, you're blackballed for about 40 of them.
Yeah, somebody knows somebody.
Yeah, like, I mean, people that have emailed me to say, hey, can I work at the shop, or you have a space? And it's like, yeah, where have you worked at? And they'll give me a list, and you bet your sweet ass and half a titty, I'm gonna reach out to those guys.
Yeah,
Hey,
you know somebody.
you know,
there.
what happened with that? Like, is this cool? Like, I'm like, and it's so tight knit, and I feel like it's not the same everywhere with that.
For sure.
So I feel like being New York tattooers is pretty lucky. It's a pretty, sharing community. It's a small community.
Yeah. I think like if you live in New York, you can't get mad when you take the subway at like 5 o'clock in the afternoon and somebody puts their armpit right by your face because they're trying to grab the bar, bro. It's just like, yo, it's the way that it's gonna be, man.
Yeah.
It's crowded out here, dude.
I can tell when someone who moves into the building is like not from New York. They complain about the noise. It's like the noise. That's
the noise?
Yeah, you're nah.
No, that's not a
Good
problem.
luck. Get used to that.
Yeah, New York's a special place.
You live on top of people.
but it's a great tattoo place.
Of course, I wouldn't.
Great
I wouldn't.
tattoo place.
I had this conversation with my girlfriend the other day. It's like, would you want to live anywhere else? It's like, the quick answer, no, absolutely not. Like, this is the epitome of where you should be at if you're an artist.
Yeah.
And that's if you want to be, if you really want to propel your own artwork, your career, you want to get out there, you want people to see your shit, you want to be sharpened all the time and not dull or plateaued, this is the place you got to be.
Yeah. Keeps pushing you all the time.
Yeah.
Sure does.
Yes. Dude, I think that's a perfect way to kind of leave it off.
I think so too.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much
Wait,
for
I
hanging
want to
out
talk
with us.
about our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Yeah, a minute.
Give me that pamphlet.
By the way, give me the book.
Hold on.
Bro, it was so great to hang out with you and just for you to share your story. And I hope that if you're in New York City, you go check out fucking Gerald's shop.
Yeah,
out in,
NYC Alley
Greenpoint.
Cat. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Hit us
And
up.
Got anything else? Just want to thank Chrissy and all of our Patreon supporters one more time. If you want to help support the show, get some critiques, also head over to patreon.com/honest-tattooer. Check out the website, buy some merch, fill out an application to be on the show, just like Gerald. And I think that's it.
And that's it. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. And we'll see you next week. Peace.
Bye.